Hey Radiant Souls, welcome back to my channel. I'm so happy that you're here. It's so nice to see you. It's time for another monthly energy forecast, and we're looking at the energy for August 2023. If this is your first time here, you're new, hello and welcome. My name is Heather. I'm an author, artist, animal communicator, energy healer, psychic medium, channeler, coach, teacher, and I'm on a mission in all of that to help others feel empowered and emboldened to connect with their divine radiant light and honor the sacred connection with all life. So when I say divine radiant light, for me, that is really you, your spark, the piece of you that is so beautiful and radiant and unique and a part of source, a part of God, a part of all that is, however you classify it, that bit of you that is here having a human experience. We sometimes feel disconnected from that, and I help you reel it back in and sit in that place of authenticity. One of the ways I do that is a monthly energy forecast. And I want to mention before we get to the forecast that time isn't really as linear as we kind of fit it to our third dimension and our molding of when things happen. So even though I'm talking about this being August 2023, if you are coming to this at a time after, and August 2023 is way in the rearview mirror for you, trust that there may still be messages here that apply and that you feel resonant with because you were drawn to this for a reason. So if you'd stick around and listen, I'd be so honored, and leave me a comment and let me know when you're coming to watch this, if it is later for you. That always fascinates me when people come across these at a different time, because it's often still a good fit for them. I'm going to take a sip of coffee because if you can't tell with my voice, it's very early this morning. And I'm not really, it's not a well-oiled instrument yet. I don't know that it ever is, but especially not early in the morning. So the word or theme or phrase for August is amplitude. And I want to first say my disclaimer there. I'm not a physicist. I'm not an engineer, like an audio engineer. So I'm not talking about it in those ways. We're talking about it kind of metaphorically, symbolically, because that's the language of intuition. And when we're talking about amplitude for this month, it isn't that things are going to get necessarily bolder, stronger, louder. Amplification is more of a loud thing. And what I'm talking about for amplitude and the message that came through was more your personal power, the quality of your wave of energy that you control. So speaking of amplification, sometimes when we're looking around the world today, it looks like things are really, really noisy. They are constantly broadcast or directed to us, broadcasted at, directed to, shouted at. Things are put in our face, and a lot of that is the nature of 24-hour marketing and news and all of that. And those are not two separate things, by the way. Marketing and news, totally connected. But I digress. But those messages are they have been for quite some time. They are on shaky ground. They don't have a quality behind them. They don't have truth behind them a lot of the time. And that's part of the reason they're amplified. Because, when you hear, let's just say you share a house with a bunch of people and somebody is having a conversation or they're having a fight in the room next to you and you don't really want to hear it, you're going to turn up your music. You're going to drown that out. Here's how I see it. Those of us who are watching these kind of videos and vibe with this kind of messaging, we are starting to have such a quality of our energy, such an amplitude, shining so brightly in so many different ways and places that other side of the spectrum has to turn up their message, because they're trying to drown our messaging out, or our light. Like it is not something they want to see or hear. So when we're seeing that the world looks like it's a terrible place and things are worse than ever, that's just that volume being cranked up. There's nothing under it. And I'm not saying there aren't bad things in the world. We know that. But the amplification of it is almost the sign and the proof that good is winning, which of course it does. We've got this, fam. We're good. We've got it, team. So when we're looking at that, part of the message was just to acknowledge that, yeah, everything is like screaming at us in the external, because it's just like, and I even saw the image. I mentioned this is in an interview yesterday. If you know the movie, I think it's called Say Anything from the 80s with John Cusack, where he's trying to woo his high school, the girl that he likes, and he like plays, a great song, Peter Gabriel, In Your Eyes. But again, I digress. Holds that up in his boombox and is like trying to get her attention when she's in her house. If you picture like just that energy of holding up a boombox, it's not going to amplify that much, but there are all the different boomboxes, all of that being held up, trying to get our attention, and strung together with these cheap ass extension cords, linked together, daisy chained in ways. And so it's just this overwhelming noise, background noise. When you're standing in your personal wave of energy, you don't get pulled off course by any of that. And you understand that your wave can overcome that wave when it's linked up with others who are similarly empowered. So behind this message, or supporting it, kind of like the scaffolding, is a reminder of the 12 steps to connect and find your light. And I shared these in my book, Hey Radiant Souls, A Guide for Finding and Shining Your Light. They're also part of the story behind the children's book that I wrote, Emily Finds Her Light. But I just want to bring them back up and dust them off and look at them in maybe a different way. And so we're just going to talk through those really quickly. And what this is almost like a deconstructed new version of the hero's journey. So if you're familiar with that story arc that is in mythology, it's in common stories that we watch, things like Star Wars, and the hero and the villain, and overcoming obstacles and finding your allies and going back to your community and inspiring and teaching and happy ending. All of that hero's journey, we all go on that. That's why those myths and those stories are so powerful for us, and we connect in because we see that as, that's me. So this is a little different way to look at it, with some kind of bite-sized phrases or titles for each of the steps. But see where you are personally in these steps, because it's not just a one-time journey for us a lot of the times. When we are on our awakening path, our journey toward awakening, we often go through these same steps, and sometimes you'll get to a certain step and then you'll backtrack a little bit, and that's not a bad thing. That is just the nature of kind of how we progress through this. So feel and see where you are when we talk about them. But then what I'm also coming to realize, I think more and more recently, is that these 12 steps are also, or can also be, reflected in kind of the collective journey. So as so many of us, and we're even going to say, if we look at 2020 forward, how are we progressing as a collective through these different stages, and where do we think we are right now? So instead of just listening for the sake of listening, it's a little active listening today. I want you to see where you think you are. And if you feel like commenting and sharing, I'd love to see that in the comments below. And then where do you think as a collective we are? And I also want to say that with these, there is no judgment on where you are. They are each valid steps to go through and part of the journey, and one leads to the next in a supportive way. So I don't want to see any judgment comments if somebody's going to say, collectively we're only on step one and we're never getting out of it. And we don't do that here. Okay, share your messages with love and positivity. So step one is tuning out to tune in. And by the way, I teach a Radiance Masterclass where we walk through these steps in great detail as well, and give you activities and journal prompts and homework where you can connect in at kind of a reflective level for yourself. But step one is tune out to tune in. And that's where we start unplugging from the things around us. So we may be switching off our notifications on our phone. We may be having the news on in the background. And I think a lot of us are there, and we have done this step. We may revisit it from time to time, but just realizing that your energy and your attention is a currency, and that is what is being sought after, as well as your uniqueness. So really understanding that where you invest that is key, and that giving it away to these other entities. Now, the message that's on your phone might not be, nefarious, but giving your attention away to something unintentional is you frittering your money away. Your money being your energy currency. So realizing that you can pull that attention back to self to get more empowered and to get more emboldened, and generally to just not feel so distracted and exhausted, because we weren't really designed to be getting those constant hits of serotonin with, oh, somebody liked my post, oh, somebody sent me a recipe, oh, somebody did this, that, and the other. That's pretty much overwhelming for our nervous system. And then we get accustomed to it, and then we kind of look for that. There's a craving. So unplugging from all of those things in a way that feels right for you, and starting to tune out so that you can then tune in. Because you have to have the reserves. You got to have the gas in the tank. You got to have the juice to be able to do the inward work that is required of this journey. Step number 2 is love what you lack, because sometimes when we're not distracted anymore by what's around us, and all we're doing is sitting in that space of self-reflection, you realize, girl, I should have been taking care of that for a while. I may have neglected some things about myself, and I may have put myself in some situations that were unhealthy. And when I look at where I am, I kind of feel less than. Sometimes that's the reflection that we see back. But in that moment, it's so important to love what you see, because what that's doing is showing you there's your opportunities. There's where you can start working to reclaim yourself. If you can't see it, you can't go back and reclaim those bits. So having that feeling of lack is good in a way, because it's highlighting where you feel, where your soul feels you need to do some work. And we're all here to do work. None of us comes in here super perfect, squeaky clean. We're here to continually grow and change and evolve. So this is just showing you the syllabus for your class. Oh, hey, okay, I need to work on these 5 things right now. So loving what you lack, because when you judge it, often you get stuck in this cycle of attracting more and more of it. So if you go within and say, oh, I'm not so great in relationships, and you start to judge that, I'm terrible in relationships, nobody's going to want to be with me, I push people away, I argue, this, that, and the other, that's what you're going to perpetuate and continue to see in your world. So saying, oh, I see where I have not been good in relationships, and I kind of see the origin of where that maybe came from, and that's okay. There may have been a wound there, and that's okay. I love that I recognize that pattern, and I can now change it. So loving what you lack is step number 2. Then once you've gotten that, and you're sitting in that place of, all right, here's where I feel I am on my map of self, and here's where I can go forward. Often what we do then is start to expand back out a little bit, and we start looking at other people. We're like, oh, well, that person, look at her. She's living the life. I look at her Instagram stories, and she's out traveling the world and speaking on stages. Or look at him. He's got the job and the family and the vacations and all of this, and he's wearing the luxury whatever and the watch and the this and the that. And not that we're even doing it for the material things, but we start looking at other people and placing ourselves in relation to them, and we get stuck in this comparison. And this is where sometimes, if you don't master this one, you slide back to steps 2 and 1 and start over. So in step 3, we're asked to embrace our own pace. sometimes too, we say, oh, well, that person started that class with me and to develop themselves as an energy healer. And now they already have a practice and they have clients and they're online and they've got a website and they're doing that stuff. And I'm still just like, not there. You weren't meant to be there. Or maybe you were and you need to adjust and take some other steps. But the comparison of looking at other people is truly pointless because no one is supposed to be at the same place, let alone at the same pace. So in step 3, we embrace our pace. Whatever pace you're going at is perfect for you. And you may see the opposite. You may feel like, I was in this group of people and we all had similar interests and we were all pursuing kind of the same things, and now I'm in a different place and they're not. Should I change and adjust? Your pace is part of your radiance. So knowing that whatever path you're pursuing, your pace is your own. Stopping the comparison with others. Because absolutely no one has your unique signature, your unique combination and constellation and coalescence of everything that makes you you. No one else has looked out from your eyes. No one else has used your taste buds to taste food. They've not digested the same food that you have. They've not had the same experiences that you have from your perspective. Only you have that. Don't compare that with other people because they're on their own thing. They're on their own journey. Step number 4, after you embrace your pace, then you can again pull back and reassess, which is often the start of all of these steps. And you realize you can choose your view. And this is where we start to do some of the mental work, if you will. Maybe we find limiting beliefs here, habits that no longer serve us, but we realize that in every choice point, in every decision, we can choose our view. We can look at the divergent view like we are whitewater rafting in a canyon and it feels scary and fast and limited and constricted and tight and we can't see around the corners and we can stress out. Or we can choose to see the perspective a little more, or that's a convergent focus. We can see the focus a little more divergently by looking out at things and really getting a bird's eye view, if you will, and pulling back and saying, I can see that right now it feels a little canyony, but that's going to pass. This too shall pass, and I'm going to come out of that with a really great lesson. So we can choose our view of how we're looking at things, even when it goes against the grain of the other people we see around us. And then we come into this perspective where we realize there are some things that I really want to do differently, or some things I want to achieve, a different way I want to walk through the world. And how do I get there? I'm feeling like I've done some of the personal work. I've tuned out. I've started to love what it is that I lack. I'm stopping the comparisons. I'm embracing my own pace. And I know that I can choose my view in every moment. Now what? What can all of that get me? Where can I go next? And the next step is to live your luck. So future state mapping. What is it that you want? If you want that relationship, I know a lot of us, and girls watching probably know this more than guys, but we like to do the list. My ideal partner should have these qualities and should have this kind of job or should have this, that, and the other. You got to make that list for yourself, number one, not the other person. How are you going to be? Because that's what will attract that person. But number 2 in this, more importantly, is how do you feel once you're in that relationship? Do you feel safe? Do you feel loved? Do you feel heard, seen, witnessed, acknowledged, honored? And then start to feel those things now. Your feeling precedes and calls in the desire. So if it's not a relationship for you, maybe it's a job. How do you feel when you have that job of your dreams? Do you feel so stoked to wake up every morning that you jump out of bed and you do all the things? Do you organize your day differently? Do you breathe differently because you are no longer in a state of stress? Do you walk differently? Is your posture changed? Make those adjustments now and live as if. So living your luck means that you live as if the good stuff already happened. So start to, in your body and throughout your day, with your habits, with your thoughts, everything, your behaviors, live as if you already have what it is that you desire. And then this fun thing tends to happen, and I think this is reflected in the hero's journey as well, where sometimes things from the past start popping out. It's kind of like whack-a-mole. I joke about this one. This is where your Facebook memories start showing you things that you really wish they wouldn't remind you of, or the exes, the ex-husbands and wives, boyfriends and girlfriends start coming into your sphere. You see them, or they text, or you drive past them or something, or you get the high school reunion or the college reunion invitation, and like all these things from your past are like, hey, we remember you. We got you. Where you been? And you're in this space of developing this new person. You're blossoming into this new version of you. And this step is here because this is your temptation. This is the, do I just revert back? You know, this work that I'm doing is not easy. It takes some effort. I could just like close up shop right here and go back to Netflix and chill on the couch with a pint of ice cream or whatever your habits were. Because there's a draw, there's a magnetism to that. But this is here because you have a different choice point now. And it's like life or the universe or your higher self often designs this so that you look at where you are and you see those examples from the past and you get that, oh, and sometimes here's where we get kernels of wisdom too, where we can say, oh, I see I'm not that person anymore. Okay, that's really scary for me, but I see that I'm not that anymore. And so the catchphrase for this step is to bet on yourself and don't look back. The more we look back and try to position ourselves based on those memories, the more we are magnetizing some of the same. It's all about resonance and magnetism and that kind of thing. So the more you're investing in the past, the more you're just going to recreate the past, because you're telling yourself, the universe, hey, I want more of that. That's where I'm focusing my attention. That's what I want more of. It's like you're walking up to the buffet and serving yourself the same thing. So this is where you start to break away from that. And again, not out of judgment, never out of the space of judgment. You can celebrate that and say, oh, you're my ex for a reason, and I honor that with you. Whatever it is, step out of that and bet on yourself and don't look back. And then the next step is, we feel like we've broken away from our habits and we're establishing our new things and we're walking through the world as if our desires are already here. And then we start to see some challenges pop up, and these are real world things. And I think one of the things that frustrates me sometimes about the way in which we often speak about manifestation is that we think you're just picking, it's like you're picking a perfume. I'm going to pick the gardenia perfume, and then I'm going to smell like a gardenia. I'm going to pick this frequency, and then I'm going to get all these things. It's not quite as simple as that. You have to really inhabit that and change your behaviors, change your thoughts, change your actions. So many things go into it that I think we get the Cliff Notes version of vibe higher, get higher. It's not necessarily the case. So in this 7th step, after the work we've done so far on kind of sloughing off what doesn't serve us, standing in our own authenticity, then we start to observe problems in life, because we're going to always have challenges and issues. We're here to learn. But now we're looking at them from a new perspective because we're becoming a new person. So this is your chance to say, how do I approach challenges, stress, problems in my life as this new version of me? How empowered do you feel now that you have restructured, revamped, and recalled parts of your energy back to you? How do you walk through the problem-solving process? So this one is called The Odds May Be Stacked Against You, because it can start to feel like that. I know for me, in one of these, because again, we go through all these steps different multiple iterations of these steps throughout our lives. For me, there was a time period where I had like 6 or 7 car accidents. I got sued. My apartment was robbed. I had like so many things all at once that it felt like the odds are stacked against you. But it's how do you walk through all of that, because you're not going to come out of that a different or the same person either. So seeing all of that as opportunity to learn and take this new version of you out for a test drive. It's like they just handed you the keys and you're saying, okay, I got to adjust my mirrors. I got to, my seat feels a little weird. I got to move my seat around. Where's the pedal? Where's the clutch? Where's all the things? And this is your chance to be you, this fully embodied version of you in this aspect of life where we face challenges. And then just when you think that's done, the next step is to expect s'more, and meaning like s'mores that you roast over a fire, because then sometimes we get caught in this pattern of telling ourselves the old ghost stories. So for me, this always looks like making s'mores around a campfire. And when you're around a campfire, sometimes you start to tell the ghost stories and freak each other out. You start to feel this like, oh crap, what have I done? Or what was that thing? And sometimes the scary stuff starts to come up and pester our minds a little bit. And those are echoes. Those are the shadows. This is another chance for you to almost replay the movie from, again, this new perspective. Now that you've made these changes, you've shifted, you've solved problems as this newer version of you. Now looking back and seeing how your stories were really stories, in that we all tell ourselves what happened from our own perspective. So sometimes this is also where we start to look back and say, I framed that so differently then than I would now, because we have this different perspective. We can pull back and see, oh, I was telling myself that story that I was the victim, and now I see that wasn't necessarily the case. After that, we come to the step called weed or wish. And I see this as like a dandelion. Some people see that as, oh, it's a pest. It's in my grass. It's growing everywhere. It's a weed. Some people see it as a wish because you blow on it, and, the myth or playful aspect of that is that all the bits go out as little wishes into the world. So how are you seeing things? This is your second or third really check-in point to say about your perspective. Yeah, I am seeing things in a positive light. And no matter what somebody else can say, it's a weed all day long, I'm seeing it as a wish, and I'm moving forward with that. And really committing to that and wasting no time in finding the positive, because you now know you're so empowered, you're so emboldened, you are in such a place of authenticity that whatever comes your way, you can handle it. You've got it. You can do it. So it's all a wish. You just need to quickly change and reframe and see it as such. And then the next step is we realize that in doing this work with self, we're filling our own cup. You know the expression, you can't pour from an empty cup. This is where we start to say, okay, I feel really empowered as myself. I feel like I'm here to help others, or I'm here to serve. This is an inevitable step that so many of us get to, where you feel like I'm fully me, and I look around the world and I see a lot of people who aren't. They don't know how to be themselves. Or I have a skill set that I feel I could help somebody else out of something or with something. How do I do that? How do I reach back out to someone? So we realize that it is the practice and devotion to self, not in a narcissistic way, not in a selfish way, but in a disciplined way that then helps us have enough to be able to serve others. And so we start realizing, okay, I got to take care of myself in whatever way. This could be your reading affirmations every day. It could be you're going for a walk every day. It could be you're eating healthy food, whatever it is for you. You realize that in doing that for yourself, you are freeing up bits of your energy to then help others and serve. And then you are ready to tackle step 11, which is rise up and shine. And this is where you start to broadcast this new version of you. This is often where I love this step for so many people, because it's often where people start coming up to you like, have you had work done? You look so much younger. Have you lost weight? You have changed. Bits of you have changed. So it may seem subtle to you, but to someone who maybe hasn't seen you in a while, you are holding yourself differently. You probably look a lot happier. You have more of a sense of self. So it's even as if there's more of you present, and people start noticing, or you start feeling differently about yourselves. Sometimes people will say, I woke up and looked in the mirror and I didn't recognize myself. I look like a different person. This is where you've risen into the fullness of you. And so with that, you stand up and shine. And when you shine, that doesn't mean you have to go out and host a podcast or a YouTube channel or anything like that. But you are standing in your authenticity, and you're not going to back down. You're not going to shy away from being fully you, as awkward as it sometimes may feel. And in that, you give others permission to do the same. Because a lot of what we see in the world, I think that's part of our problem, is we don't know how to be authentic because we don't have enough representations. We don't have enough examples of that in the world. So we feel like, oh, I've got to use the Instagram filter, or I've got to do this other thing, or I've got to have this idealized version of something, because that's what we see so often, instead of just showing up and being real and being authentic. So the more you show up for yourself and in that state of true reality, not reality TV, not something that's edited, but truly as yourself, you give other people permission to do that. And that's a beautiful thing. I think we need so much more of that in this world. And then the final step is you have this understanding of your precious, sacred uniqueness. And you stand out because you weren't made to fit in. We live in a world that is trying to label and fit and contort all of us into a certain way of thinking, of being, into this, I'm even going to go here, into this consumerism model. You need this thing to feel better. You need something else to look better. You need, instead of you're perfect, just as you are. Do some inner work maybe. Go on that journey with yourself. But you, in your uniqueness, you don't need the same hair color that somebody else has. You don't need to wear the same clothes that somebody else has to fit in, to be labeled. You don't need to label yourself at all. Your only label is you, your energetic, unique signature. So stand out because you weren't made to fit in. So that was a really long-winded way to say, have your amplitude in August be something that you're focused on. And if you want to watch this back and reflect back on these steps, maybe that can help you. I hope that it does. This is not the only way to do inner work. Certainly, there are a lot of different paths to that, but this was information that, I've been aware of and sitting with for many years now that came through to me in a channeled message. So I just wanted to share it in this way in support of this message. When we look at the art for August, you can see kind of spiky energy representing amplitude, but also this painting or art has a feeling of holding steady amongst whatever is coming your way. There are these things that look like strings that can be played, if you will. So that's another way to look at this. Are you being played by what's around you, or are you playing your own instrument? Because we are instruments, and we are sharing our vibration and our energy with the world. So as with any of my monthly energy, you can download a digital copy of it for free, and I'll put the link to that below for you. For the month that it's active, and you can always also purchase a downloadable digital watermark free copy. You can purchase a signed copy from me on fine art paper. Those are really nice to have and collect. And what else do I want to talk about? I think that's it. This has been a pretty long video for this. I just really appreciate you all so much and the energy that you bring to this space. And I wanted to acknowledge that as well, because when I look at Amplitude and I look out into members of my community and those of you who interact with me here or on social media and things like that, you guys are doing the work. You are co-creating this world. And part of this journey that we're all on, I think too, is realizing, even though we're not comparing, because we're embracing our own pace, but just the knowing that so many other people are doing this work. We're on this journey together. It's challenging sometimes because we can feel really isolated in it, because while it is a collective movement and ascension and up leveling, it is also always extremely personal, because everybody's going to do that differently. We all have our own unique instrument. But just knowing that you're not in it alone, that others are walking alongside you, I hope that brings you some empowerment as well as you walk through your day. So thank you so much for spending time with me today. I will see you again soon. Have an amazing day. Bye.